number that's part of the percentage of the daily value. But you know what I always notice, especially with these liquid ones, that's never there next to the sugars. Is that because
there's no recommended daily value for sugar?
Good question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
You must have a spoonful of sugar every day.
But there isn't one. No, there's no daily recommended value for sugar. And that ought to be a hint right there. But the best way, if these labels are confusing to you, don't read them. Don't even buy those drinks. I'm telling you, just get, and sometimes you'll need a little electrolyte. They got to sell a little electrolyte patch too that you can put into your water to give you, if you're working out a lot and you're losing a lot of sodium and you need to get some electrolytes back in your system. There's drinks out there. This Propel water, it's made from a company that developed, a drink for athletes. And you just have to go out there and look, and this is sweetened too. This has 1 tablespoon of sugar in it. Gives you the flavor, gives you a little bit of nutritional value. But you can get an electrolyte mix it in your water, and that'll help along with some of these things. And then also too, when you want to sweeten your drinks, your teas and things like that, there's alternatives out there. There's Splenda, which is made from a sugar that's supposed to be better for you than the others. Or there's all natural, like there's stevia or xylitol in your health food stores that you could. I'd recommend sweetening your drinks with those.
One thing that Roger just talked about, though, is he put cranberry juice in his water. Think about the fact if you're getting your fruits and vegetables in that we're recommending at least 5 or more servings every day, you may even want to try orange in your water. You could put lime in your water. It's an easy way to hide and make the water taste good. But if you are getting your 5 servings a day, you probably won't need to depend on these type drinks with the extra things because you'll be getting it naturally from your food. And that's the best way to do it.
Is there anything wrong with just drinking regular old tap water?
Not at all.
No.
That's a great...
I don't have to go buy water.
Exactly.
Yeah, tap water's fine. I think, there's so many, people get paranoid of all the stuff in it, but tap water, listen, a bunch of us drank from tap. Hey, we drank from pond water. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We grew up drinking that stuff. And then they got filters on the market that you could buy if you want to help filter it a little extra. Right. But tap water, I drink tap water.
We've been talking a lot about colas and fruit punches. What are some other things that you think of when you think about Roger saying don't drink your calories?
Well, Saturday afternoon.
Well, there's 2 things that come to mind. You've got a diet drink set in there, and I know, don't drink your calories, but, you hear a lot of people who want to lose weight say avoid just sodas in general. And that's question number 1. And then the next question I'll have for you is just to comment on, if we're going to talk about drinks, you hear a lot about people who drink alcohol, that it's good for you, it's good for your heart, or it helps you lose weight, or it helps you cardiovascular. What do you think about that?
Back in the 50s in the advertisements, it said it was a healthful, nutritious drink, beer was. Yes.
Well, it's moderation, I think, is the key when it comes to alcohol. And like I've told you before, when I preach calories, if you want to count it as your calories, count it. But, don't go like 2,400 calories, you're going to be my beer calories for the day, because then most likely you're going to be drunk. But you have to look at it calories and know that there's certain, some of the dark liquors are going to be a little bit sweeter. Know what they're made out of. What vodka's made from a potato. But there's some things out there.
It's a vegetable.
Yeah.
I think that's stretching it. But I think a point to come back to, though, is the amount. Because the things about wine, you've heard red wine is good for your heart. They're talking about 4 ounces of wine. They're talking about a very small amount. And so on the graphic that we have, it shows it's a small amount. It's 1.5 ounces of liquor, or 12 ounces of beer, or 5 ounces of wine. So again, it's the amount and how often you're drinking. But it's a good question. But you do need to realize that those are calories. And even though there is a health benefit, while you're losing weight, we would strongly suggest that you be very careful with where you put your calories.
Well, it's also like that water we looked at that had vitamins in it, but had so much sugar in it, it nullifies it. Yes, you can get a benefit from drinking some of this alcohol on the serving size recommended. Now, if you overdo it, because what happens ultimately when you have too much beer, you're going to end up at a fast food line ordering some food. I mean, you suddenly got a sack full of crystals. It leads to your mind not thinking as sharply, and you end up doing things that you shouldn't do. But if you want to do it, you allow it in your calories, and there's beers out there that are 100-calorie beers, the light beers and stuff like that. But just count it as your calories and don't overdo it. I mean, anything in excess is ridiculous. But that's a good question.
Chris, your second question was about the diet colas, and you're right. These are receiving some attention in more recent literature that they may not be as helpful as we thought for weight loss.
And I think I've read that same thing you read.
Good.
I'm waiting to hear what you say.
Well, one of the studies is saying
and I'm experiencing it. I'm going to tell you I think it's true.
That it often, because it still tastes sweet, there is a potential that it's confusing your brain, and so you actually end up consuming more calories in the long run.
You know what? I agree with that.
However, if you are really very careful, we're not saying to avoid them totally. No. We're still saying that this is a 0-calorie.
This is better than this?
This is better than this. Exactly. But of course,
this is how much it has in it.
Stefan's water would still be our beverage of choice.
But what's interesting is when I was on the Biggest Loser, we drank nothing but water. We didn't have diet sodas out there. And when I came back, I mean, I still like to drink. This is drink of choice, the second drink of choice. But I have noticed that when I drink a lot of it in a day and I don't drink my water like I'm supposed to, because water, one, is filling and it gives you what you have, is I think I have a tendency to eat a little more. I've just noticed it in myself because I've done it. I mean, I've been out there where I didn't have any stimulus from any kind of drink but water. And I know how I was losing weight, and now when I come back and I've added this back into my diet, I've noticed, and I agree with that study 100%, that there's something about it that makes you eat a little more. And I notice I have, and I notice days when I just drink the water and get my caffeine from coffee instead of one of these drinks, that I don't have a tendency to want to overeat now. That's where your battle becomes, you control what goes in your mouth. And I think there's definitely being a living example of that. I think it's true.
Now, is sodium an issue with the diet drinks? I mean, would that make
there's not a whole lot. There's only 40 milligrams of soda in here. That's not a whole
Because I don't know if that might be why it really doesn't quench your thirst or anything when you drink it.
Oh, good question. And for a couple of years ago, there was a thing talking about don't drink sodas because they're full of sodium. But like Roger said, they really don't have that much sodium in them.
And the best thing that I think to quench your thirst is water. I mean, even now, I've never said, gosh, I'm thirsty. I never picked this up to quench my thirst. Right. I drink it because I like it, 0 calories. It gives me a caffeine. But I never picked it up to quench my thirst. If I ever want to quench my thirst, I'm drinking water.
One thing we mentioned early on was, I think Roger mentioned it, and I think you commented on it, was the intake of dairy products, milk, and those types of things, being important to losing weight. Now, I don't quite latch on to that because that does have calories in it. And I do drink skim milk, but help me understand how drinking dairy products is going to help me lose weight.
But now, Chris, remember it's in your total amount of calories. It's not in addition to what you're doing. Okay. So you're replacing some of your empty calories with the milk product. And actually, it's the calcium and magnesium and vitamin D mixture in the way that the food is presented that it actually helps you lose weight in the long run.
It's the nutritional value in it. And I'm a big believer. Milk was the other thing I drank on the ranch. And I've been a milk drinker my whole life. I love milk. And you can't go wrong with it. You make your shakes with it. But it's the nutritional value in the combination. It does. And the thing, too, is I think it helps satisfy that hunger. Miriam probably knows what they call that thing, but I just know if I'm hungry or not, and when we get milk and things, I think it kind of satisfies that. Mm-hmm. Whereas, sometimes water can go through you. And another thing I learned, too, is that water doesn't necessarily, we always talk about water hydrating you. Mm-hmm. Because I was drinking water and found out if you don't have some sodium, and we talk about watching sodium, but if you don't have some sodium with water, you won't retain the water. People will be thinking, I'm drinking water, I must be hydrated, and you're working out, and all of a sudden you pass out because of dehydration. Mm-hmm. You have to be aware that you do have to have some sodium in your system, and that's why the drinks, the Gatorades and things like that, they have sodium, the electrolyte. That's why. And that's very important through these workouts that we're trying to do and trying to lose weight. You need to stay hydrated.
And the average person, like I said before, the average person will get plenty of the sodium, just like the other minerals and electrolytes.
Yes.
You'll get plenty of sodium from your diet. Probably in the South, we're more worried about getting too much sodium. Yeah. But, like Roger's talking about, if you start an exercise program and start sweating profusely and start using up a lot, then you may want to think about
You got to replace
tracking it.
Yeah, you got to
Right.
replace it.
So water of choice, right?
Water.
Water.
All right, Chris, have some.
Sugar. Oh, no.
Yeah, get the flavored water.
Flavored. All right.
Let me have that Propel.